Alright, we're on the second part of this video. As I'd said in the first part, all these items came from an auction out in Colorado. This gentleman he was a professor and been involved with safety aspects on helmets and body armor. He had actually created some body armor for Ronald Reagan and the Secret Service. And this auction house out in Colorado was liquidating his whole collection. He must have had hundreds of different flight helmets and different pilot related items in general. And so I picked up a few items, and if you've seen the first video, then you've seen a few of the items already. And we're just going to go ahead and open up this box here and see what's in this box. You know, it's always an adventure when you're getting something shipped by an auction house. They sometimes do a really good job on packing things, and other times I'm not sure how a box actually arrives in one piece. So the first thing in here is this helmet here. This is actually a experimental helmet that was created, I think, in late 50s, maybe 1958, 1959. And you can see it had, I guess there was what they were calling the ANPRC 34. And you actually had your little, I think it was for, you got your different hookups for communications. You got volume, tone, off, on. And so I thought it was interesting. See, it's actually got a date right there. Looks like April 1960, 60 something, maybe 62. But it's actually a experimental item. So I thought it was something you don't see very often. They're getting pretty expensive. So I thought it was interesting and worth taking a chance on. This next helmet, this is a World War II helmet. And some of the stuff he had tagged, what he had put on it. It's a World War II Navy M1940. And this one's actually stamped US Navy. And then this is the type of helmet, it is an MK2. It's in pretty good shape for being from World War II. And let's see what we got else in here. This one was one that I think he was doing some testing on to see how a different helmet would work on different types of damage. Some of the helmets they had looked like they'd actually been shot, just to test and see what kind of impacts they could take. And like I said, some of the stuff he had tags actually on them to tell what they were supposed to be. And you see all these little tags have got, you know, if you can see it up here, it says United States Army Research. I think it's Aeromedical Research Lab. And they're at, I think it's at Fort Rucker in Alabama. So I guess he had been working with them on some different safety aspects of helmets. And we got a beret. If you've seen one of the other videos I did on talking about different berets, the Bancroft beret is like a private purchase beret, not an official issue beret. But if you see the ones with the gold lining, the gold quilted lining in here, that's usually a sign of a Vietnam era beret. You know, it's got the grommet holes. And so that's a, you know, nice beret. And let's see what else we got in here. Got like a helicopter pilot's helmet. You know, this one's in pretty good shape. You can see there it says April of '72. I don't know why it says confidential at the bottom there. But, you know, just your standard SPH4 helmet by Gentex. I'm not sure this one was ever really used at all. It looks pretty new. Unfortunately, these things are always, the foam decays in them and start falling apart. But in general, I don't think the helmet, either it's seen very little use or it hasn't been used at all. I don't know. Here we've got another Bancroft beret. This one here's got the 75th Ranger Battalion. And this one, you know, it's got the same yellow or gold Bancroft interior on it, but this one doesn't have a quilted pattern. So I don't know if the quilted pattern is a little older or a little bit newer than this. This beret in general feels a little bit older than the other one. And I'm also not sure why. It's like somebody, on both of those berets, somebody sewn through the side there. I don't know if that was just for display purposes or something like that, but, you know, again, it's a nice, you know, not a real high dollar beret, but it's still neat. I've got a summer weight. Got some, you know, the receiver built into it. I don't know if there's a tag. It's hard to read on the exact type it is, but I don't think this is World War II. I'm thinking that's maybe from the 50s. I don't know. If you know, got a better idea of the date on it, comment below on it. I don't, not real familiar with the dates on those. And we've got another beret. This one I like because this is the Army of Republic of Vietnam armored unit, their bullion patch. It's either that or it's something that's made to look a lot like it. But I don't know who the manufacturer was on this beret. But this one sold really cheap, so I thought, well, you know, it doesn't have the grommet holes in it like I usually like to look for. It looks old, and that's interesting, but it was just sold cheap enough to where I thought, yeah, I'll take a chance on it. Here's another World War II piece. Give you some protection, M4A2 helmet. Really in pretty good shape. You know, I don't see a lot of sweat stains on the inside of it, but you know, it's got a little, offer a little bit of protection. Looks like the strap here is kind of torn off. It's got stain on there, so you know, it's pretty neat. We got, this is another World War II hat. And there's a B-1 flying cap. And again, doesn't look like it's really been used. You know, again, some of those things like that, you know, sometimes in auction stuff sells cheap enough. I think this is the same type of hat, another one of those B1s that you know, you just go ahead and take a chance on them, figuring, yeah, if they sell cheap enough, they're worth buying. We've got another beret. This one here would be junk force, you know, for all your little ships and boats that were on the rivers in Vietnam. And this beret was actually made in Saigon. Well, again, it's a nice, you know, this is a, I don't know, the junk force berets really have gone up in value in the last few years. It seems like just a few years ago, this beret probably would have sold for $150, and now it's maybe more like $250 or even $300. So, thought that was a good solid beret. We've got a deck crew helmet. The tag again, I don't know, probably 1950s. Could be early 60s, something like that. Another World War II hat. It's a leather one. So I don't know what there were dates on stuff from like the late 70s and early 80s. I don't know if that's when he was doing some kind of testing. I don't know what kind of testing you do on a leather hat from World War II, but see, it's a type B2. But you know, again, it's a nice solid hat. Let's see, here's another, just another maybe a SPH helmet, maybe SPH 5. No, it's a HGU 39P. Shows what I know about them sometimes. That one's from 1980. Again, really good shape. I think it was just a helmet that he had for when they were conducting some of their testing. And some scuffs on it, but it's pretty neat. We've got another beret. I think this was another one of those ones that it just sold cheap enough. Yeah, that's right. I got a 1975 contract date. And Air Force shade blue, so this would have been like an Air Force beret. Don't know what this pin is on there. If you know what it is, feel free to post something in the comments. But you know, sometimes berets like that, when they're just really, they sell really cheap, I figure, buy them and you can't go wrong. This was interesting for like a strobe light. You know, you got your off and flash, and there's some different lenses, I guess, you can put for changing colors. And I'm guessing it's from the, I don't know, maybe it's from the 60s. But it was an unusual piece, so I thought, you gotta buy stuff. If it's unique, buy it when you see it. So we're starting to get to the bottom here. Here's a, this one, it's a type B9, like an Army Air Corps, Army Air Force, not Army Air Corps. For those cold weather flights. We've got, this one is from, let's see if I can see a date in that one. It's an HGU 7P. This would be for, I would think this would be for air crew. I guess some pilots may may have used that, but I said he had quite a variety of different helmets and things. So we've got another beret. This is that's a 17th Cavalry. This is a unit that was active in Vietnam. You know, even though somebody's removed the lining and it's well used, it's still a nice displayable beret. This is a flight helmet bag. Call this a bowling ball bag. You know, looks kind of similar, like you'd have a bowling ball in there. Instead, you'd have your made for flight helmets. Again, usually they're from 60s. You can see this one's 1966. You know, it's for Navy. So, you know, if you're buying some flight helmets, you got to have a bag to put them in. There's another helicopter pilot's helmet. This one's don't know if I see a year in this one. I'm sure it's in there somewhere. There's a little tag for being Gentex, being the manufacturer. It's pretty similar to the other one. These are just some extra parts they must have thrown in, some earphone cushions, parts for some helmets. These are safety, like a lap restraint from Jet. I think that's what they are. There you go. Aircraft safety belt. And I think there's one of these that's in the box too. Yeah, I think this is the one that... See, this one was from 1969, but it's the same thing as that other one. Aircraft safety lap belt. So it was interesting to see one still had the box with it. And that looks like that is everything out of this box. I hope you've enjoyed seeing some of these items. This was just a small, very small percentage of the collection that this gentleman had compiled over the years. And I was happy to get a variety of pieces, whether some flight helmets, some berets, so forth. And I encourage you to go ahead and subscribe, and make sure you check out the first part of this video. Showed a few of the other items that came from the same auction. I broke it up into 2 videos. And like I said, if you you know, maybe you know a little more information than what I supplied on some of these items, feel free to comment below. Otherwise, thanks for watching.